Imagine dragging a 6,000-pound camper up a 6% grade in the dead of July. The cab smells faintly of burning ozone and vaporized engine coolant. Suddenly, the massive digital dashboard violently flashes every warning light at once. The transmission forcefully drops into neutral on its own, and you are coasting backward toward a concrete guardrail with zero power steering. That terrifying dead pedal silence echoing inside the cabin is not a freak electrical glitch. It is a mathematically guaranteed failure baked directly into the main wiring harness to secure a massive dealership payout. This is the brutal new era of corporate truck engineering, where raw towing capability is stripped away and replaced by fragile silicon programmed to fail. The math is rigged before you turn the ignition key. There are three distinct secrets hiding behind that massive crosshair grille. You are about to uncover the microscopic valve train flaw that literally eats hardened steel camshafts alive. You will see the sealed module deception deliberately designed to burn your truck's electrical system to the ground. And you will learn the dirty blacklist secret that determines which exact powertrains the guys spinning the wrenches actually buy to haul their own families. Let us examine the true anatomy of a financial disaster, starting with the 2009 to 2012 Ram 1500. In the showroom, these fourth-generation half-tons looked like absolute brawlers. You saw the aggressive forward-leaning fascia, the massive dual exhaust tips exiting the rear bumper, and you were sold the legendary 5.7-liter Hemi V8 promise. It felt like buying a muscle car with a high towing capacity. The engineering flaw is fundamentally simple, yet completely catastrophic. Beneath the plastic engine covers lies a microscopic lubrication deficit combined with incredibly cheap metallurgy inside the hydraulic valve lifters. Dodge introduced the multi-displacement system to shut down 4 cylinders on the highway, supposedly to save a few drops of fuel. The chain reaction is purely destructive. The system starves those specific deactivated lifters of oil pressure. The tiny internal needle bearings inside the lifter wheel overheat and seize completely solid. That locked steel wheel then drags directly across the rapidly spinning camshaft lobe, chewing the hardened metal profile down into jagged, metallic confetti that gets pumped forcefully through the entire engine block. This is the birth of the lifter roller ransom. You will start the truck on a cold, damp morning and immediately hear a vicious, rhythmic metal-on-metal clapping sound bouncing off your garage walls. It sounds exactly like a heavy ball-peen hammer striking an empty steel anvil. As the engine warms up, you will smell raw, unburnt fuel escaping the exhaust because the valves are no longer opening far enough to let the cylinder breathe. The repair bill drops like a sledgehammer, demanding upper thousands just to tear the cylinder heads off and replace a deliberately starved valve train. Walk into any independent repair bay across the country, and you will see entire scrap bins overflowing with these exact chewed-up Hemi camshafts. This is where the math hits you. Why engineer a robust, full-time oiling system when a corporation can save pennies on the assembly line and sell a massive valve train rebuild kit 3 days after the powertrain warranty expires? Ask any veteran technician about the electrical nightmare running parallel to the engine. The 2009 to 2012 models also carry the totally integrated power module. It acts as the primary brain for the electrical system, but it is actually a glorified, unserviceable fuse box built with incredibly cheap internal relays permanently soldered directly to a multi-layer green circuit board. The internal fuel pump relay burns out from normal, daily amperage draw. You will smell the sharp, acrid odor of melting solder and scorched plastic right before the starter motor cranks endlessly without ever firing, leaving you stranded in a wet parking lot. Instead of allowing a mechanic to swap a simple $5 plug-in relay, the manufacturer forces a complete module replacement that easily strips $1,000 from your wallet. But here is the real crime hiding in the service bay. We jump forward to the 2014 to 2016 Ram 1500 EcoDiesel, a machine that represents a fundamentally darker chapter in truck history. The showroom seduction here was immense. You were promised the holy grail of light-duty towing, massive low-end diesel torque packed into a comfortable half-ton chassis, bragging about 30 miles to the gallon on the highway. The hidden choke point is the disastrous emissions routing system bolted externally to the Italian-built VM Motori engine. The chain reaction is a masterclass in thermal self-destruction. The exhaust gas recirculation cooler is fundamentally undersized and utilizes paper-thin internal welds. The intense thermal stress cracks the internal piping. The system begins dumping highly pressurized liquid engine coolant directly into the intake manifold alongside hot, sooty exhaust gas. The engine tries to compress the liquid on the upward stroke, but fluid physically cannot be compressed. The forged connecting rods bend under the extreme hydrostatic lock, and the main bearings shatter under the immense, abnormal pressure spike. You will be cruising comfortably at 60 miles an hour when a violent mechanical shudder rips straight through the floorboards. You will instantly hear the sickening, heavy crunch of catastrophic lower-end block failure, followed by a thick cloud of sweet-smelling white steam completely blinding the highway traffic behind you. This is a wallet extraction event that regularly exceeds $10,000 to $12,000, destroying the vehicle's entire remaining equity in a fraction of a second. We specifically refuse to take these early EcoDiesels on trade-ins because the liability of the engine detonating on a 10-minute test drive is simply too high. They turned a diesel workhorse into a ticking thermodynamic time bomb. Notice how the corporate playbook actually traps you when these modern systems fail. The dashboard throws a locked emissions code, putting you in limp mode. The dealership software locks out your ignition sequence completely. You are forced to authorize an extreme diagnostic fee for proprietary data. They mandate a complete sealed unit replacement because individual sensors are glued shut. It is a brilliant, ruthless ecosystem designed solely to convert your basic transportation needs into their quarterly shareholder profits. This is a deliberate, mathematical extraction of your wealth. However, salvation exists if you rewind the clock to a time when heavy metal actually mattered. Enter the 1994 to 2001 Ram 1500. These were the legendary second-generation, big rig-style trucks that changed the entire landscape of the American road. The showroom seduction was purely visual power. They featured massive crosshair grills, sweeping lowered fenders, and an unapologetic, brutish stance that made everything else look like a toy. The engineering flaw here is that they built the internal combustion architecture far too well. Under that massive steel hood sits the legendary 5.2-liter or 5.9-liter Magnum V8. There is no fragile cylinder deactivation witchcraft. There is no delicate, heat-soaked EcoDiesel plumbing. The chain reaction inside this block is pure, dumb physics executing perfectly. A heavy cast-iron block houses incredibly thick, forged steel internals. The oil galleys are wide, forgiving, and heavily pressurized. The single in-block camshaft spins on massive, lubricated bearings, effortlessly pushing solid metal pushrods. Turn the actual metal ignition key, and you feel the raw, heavy vibration of a naturally aspirated V8 firing up through the seat of your pants. You will hear the deep, uninterrupted mechanical roar of heavy iron components moving in perfect, simple synchronization. It smells like rich gasoline, hot exhaust piping, and absolute permanence. The financial burden to keep this machine running costs pocket change, a few quarts of thick conventional oil, and basic hand tools on a Saturday morning. You completely avoid the lifter roller ransom because the engineering was meant to survive pulling a loaded horse trailer through mud, not to pass a microscopic emissions laboratory test. We actively hunt for these specific pushrod powertrains on the secondary market because a heavy iron block will easily outlast 3 generations of modern, computerized aluminum chassis. It drinks fuel, but it absolutely refuses to die. Execute this exact blueprint to protect your paycheck when you go truck shopping. Find the cheapest, ugliest base model trim. Demand naturally aspirated, cast iron engine blocks. Verify mechanical, thick-gauge steel throttle cables. Refuse any cylinder deactivation software systems. Prioritize traditional metal ignition keys over push buttons. Check the inner frame rails with a heavy magnet. These rolling supercomputers are intentionally designed to bleed your bank account dry the exact moment the factory powertrain warranty expires. They want you permanently tethered to the dealership service lane, trapped by proprietary software updates and fragile plastic components that shatter under strain. If you are exhausted by corporate giants engineering vehicles that rob you blind, hit that subscribe button. We strip away the marketing gloss and expose the dirty, bare metal truth every single week.